Hi, this is Ask Brock. I'm Brock Yordy. This week's question comes from Darren. Brock, what does it mean to log a significant change? It's a great question. And, we don't do enough at having a discussion on what's proper logging. And so, are we logging a water well, a test well, doing geotechnical investigation for a structure, environmental investigation? Is this coring to define where a rare earth mineral is? There's multiple different parameters that we need to think about. If I'm doing a test hole for a water well or a geothermal bore, I'm logging every 5 to 10 feet, depending on what the discussion is with your senior leadership. If we're working with a scientist, a geologist, a hydrogeologist, have the discussion. How often do we need samples? And then, oh, by the way, how often do we need samples and we're stopping and we're waiting the deeper we get? That needs to be determined so that we can bid accordingly and that we have the right time, fuel consumption, labor. What is it going to take to drill this 1,000-foot hole? But when we get to significant changes, that's where I'm starting. Let's say I drill in and I have 1.5 feet of topsoil and material, and then I shift from there into a solid clay. That's a significant change. And that happened before that predetermined every 5 to 10 feet. So I'm going to put that in. The same as I go through a confining layer, if that's a rock or some sort of shale or clay, and I punch into something that produces water or off gases or something like that, that's a significant change. So get your logbook, and every time you get to work with one of those scientists, have that discussion about how they're logging and how you're logging, because we have this big debate on what all should go into my book that's on the rig, but you are the book. You are the book to that hole. You are the author creating what the downhole conditions look like before we get into doing geophysical logs or anything else. So I want to know temperature, weather, what bit I'm running, what does my bottoms up time, if I'm running, let's say I'm running 300 gallons a minute in my mud pump and I'm running a 12-inch hole. I now know that my uphole velocity is going to be 60 feet per minute, maybe 57 feet per minute, depending on my borehole diameter and what my tooling, my bottom hole assembly. So I have all of that in my beginning of my notes. And this is significant because let's face it, when you get to that third rod, 60 feet, it is a full minute from the time that a formation changes to you see it come up out of the hole. And again, if I go back to drilling fluids 101 or drilling 101, a fluid has to be moving faster than 60 feet per minute to have the cuttings move up. And when we're talking about uphole velocity, I'm talking about cuttings movement as much as I am about fluid. And these are all going to impact our log. So that's what's important. I want to know all the conditions of the day, even if my helper is grumpy or I'm grumpy. And then I want to get into those. What does that geology look like every 5 feet or 10 feet? And then significant changes. If the drilling fluid changes color, that's a significant change. If it's got hydrocarbons in it, or we start seeing a water-bearing formation, we start seeing water droplets pool in the mud. These are all significant changes. This is a great question, but it is clearly defined by your company, your customer, what we're doing for the job, and what scientific data are we contributing. And that's why our logbook is so important to us. And then finally, as we finish that well and we submit that well log, it's very important for us to have had accurate detail there, because we have many logs that are great and we have a lot of logs that are not great. Great question. Good luck.